I will be with you momentarily. Hello, hello. Thank you for joining me. I'm just going to give a few. Of course, I got a new computer and it won't let me log into Facebook. So I'm using my darn phone. So two secs. If you are joining me and you have some questions to ask me for today, make sure that you're joining me from the main Lifepro page, not the VIP group, which I'm about to share this in a moment. And then if you are joining me, I am going to be starting on a stool. So we're going to be doing today, it doesn't matter what type of diabetes you have, even if you're just type 1 or you're type 2, pre-diabetic, there's lots of different reasons that we need to be active. And today is very much, not so much, a vibration plate is specific for diabetes, but it is a really good activity. If you're dealing with diabetes 9 times out of 10, there's other things that you're dealing with as far as symptom management. So it can be a good symptom management tool, but it could also be a fantastic way to get the activity in that is, we all know we need to be getting active and more regularly. In the event today, if you are joining me, I posted the routine that we're going to be walking through today, some of the benefits. So I'm trying to get a little bit more routine oriented and a little less education. Many of you have seen me do this from time to time. I'm just going to share this out now to the main page. And where is my live? Thank you for being patient with me. I see a few of you here now. If you are joining me, I'm going to ask somebody to let me know if they can see and hear me. I see Deb is here, and I'm not even going to try to pronounce your last name, girl. Thank you for joining me. I'm in here now. I'm going to share this to, how do I share this? Share to the group, to the VIP group, and perfect. I should be live in Facebook land. So, sorry, I'm so screwed up with my Windows 11 update. Okay. So, thank you for joining me. If you are joining me, hi, Dave. Nice to see you. I'm a little bit blurry, he says. I'm using my same old camera. And I do notice sometimes I can certainly see all the hairs that are the gray ones, especially sticking up off my hair. So hopefully you can hear me as well on the other end. And we're going to get started here. So if you are joining me, join me with your plate and a stool. All we're going to do today is, whenever I do these types of sessions, especially the medical-based type stuff, I always, trends change and what might have been, a trend in 2025 sometimes changes in 2026, 27 going forward. So, you know what? I unplugged my machine. Just out of sorts today. Let's get this back in. There. That'll probably sound better. So today I'm working on the Waver Mini. I have my trusty dusty stool. For those of you who are not aware, I am in Canada, and it looks very much like my cup here today. There's snow all over the ground. So I've had a couple of mini sessions today because I'm chilly. and did a little snow shoveling today as well. So we're going to start seated, and the reason we're starting seated is I do recognize if you are dealing with diabetes, the spectrum of symptoms is quite broad and severity within those. So one of the most common things I find with diabetes, especially if it's progressed a bit, is sensitivity issues in the feet in particular. Things like neuropathy, sometimes swelling, sometimes, it's nothing to do with diabetes. Maybe you're just dealing with some good old arthritis. So starting seated is a good way to kind of prime, and I've talked about this in past sessions, using a vibration plate kind of better prepares the body for whatever else you may be doing, whether that's exercises, maybe you've got other therapies, maybe you're going for a walk, maybe you're just heading to the grocery store. So if you have sensitivity issues, if you have balance, stability, fatigue, all these types of things, everything I'm doing today, even though I ramble a bit, excuse me, is intended to be more symptom management. When we get into fitness, it's a little bit more about putting effort forth, and fatigue times, if the effort is there, will be brief. So any of the exercises I'm going through today, we're going to do 3 seated and we're going to do 3 standing, are not necessarily just for diabetes, but they do cater to the type of symptoms that you're dealing with. And if the mobility's poor, the balance is poor, the fatigue's there, the pain, all these things, using your plate seated is a good way to get started if you're a new user, but it's also a really good way to get some symptom management time when you're having those bad days or you're progressing and improving in your health. So the first thing I want you to do is it's kind of hard to call it an exercise, but I want to really start just talking about, in general, posture and breathing. You can see me in the chair, in the mirror. I don't want to see like slouchy, scoliosis looking backs. Try with your pelvis, tilt the hips forward so that the tailbone is pointing backwards. And what you'll notice is it forces that little arch in. I gotta get this up here so you can see the curve in my back. So like this, the curve is facing the wall. By tilting your hips forward and the tailbone back, engaging that core, shoulders back, we just want a nice straight spine. I want you focusing on breathing. Inhale, exhale. And this is your first position, is just sitting here, getting a little circulation, a little lymphatic movement going. Settings wise, if you haven't watched any of my sessions before, I completely contradict everything in the manual because the majority of people I support are dealing with chronic issues. If you're dealing with chronic issues, you should be staying away from things like max time and intensity. You're not physically in the best health, so you shouldn't be going full on out. When you're dealing with chronic issues, many of you with diabetes have some pretty severe symptoms that you manage. The number one thing I hear is, oh, the machine did this to me, or the machine did that to me. No, you did that to yourself by going too long and pushing beyond what you're conditioned for. So please use some common sense. I would rather you using the machine more frequently in short sessions, especially if you want to boost energy, sensitivity like we're working on right now. So while we're sitting here and paying attention to our awesome posture, this position, just as a warm-up, would be about 30 seconds to a minute. My feet are about hip width apart. That's the intensity. You have no business going wide. I know that's what you see in the book, and I know that's what you see online. And I know that many, many people that make comments in forums and so forth say that, wider feet is better. Not necessarily. Wider feet is more impact in oscillating movement. Oscillating is the main vibration plate movement. It more mimics how we walk. But there's a few things that you control that are unique to this type of movement. And once you kind of understand the intensity piece, you can navigate through your worst and your best days. So keep those feet more functionally hip width apart. This machine has 99 speeds. I've got it at about speed 35. So it's a little bit smoother, a little less choppy. We're getting a little bit more movement in less time. Our first exercise is going to be some foot pumps. And we're going to add some upper body goalposts to that. There's a bazillion different names for this exercise. While we're doing this, we're going to keep mindful of our posture. That tailbone is pushed back. We're getting a rush of circulation and lymphatic movement. So first part of the exercise, you want to keep those calves strong, loose, and limber. So we're going to rock from the balls of the feet, and we're going to rock back to the heels, lifting the toes. Rock forward, lifting the heels. Rock back, lifting the balls of the feet. You can time this with your breathing. Inhale, exhale. Inhale, exhale. Now we're going to add the other part and see how coordinated you are. Goalposts. Whoosh. Arms are at a 90-degree angle. And we're going to try and draw those elbows towards each other. And we're going to hold. We're not down here. We're not getting back into our slouch. We're going to keep that posture nice and solid. That tailbone's back. We're going to start here. And when we go forward on the balls, we're going to go inhale. And when we come back, we're going to put the heels down. Lift at the balls of the feet. Hold. 2, 3. Inhale. Hold. 2, 3. You should really feel a nice stretch in those shoulder blades and lift. You're going to probably do 8 to 10 reps on this, 30 seconds to a minute on any of these exercises. If you're sitting at your computer hunched over all day long like I am, sometimes I do this one just on my own. I love it. The next one we're going to move to, I want to get the heart rate, the metabolism going a little bit. And for any of you doing seated exercises, the seated yoga stuff, we're going to do a seated march. So again, we started with just being mindful of our posture, giving the legs, the feet, 30 seconds to a minute to just start getting some sensitivity and some sensation improvement. And then we moved on to foot pumps, combining that with this. The third seated exercise, and again, you can do each of these individually, is just a seated march. So we're going to lift, and I would like you to swing your arms at the same time. Maybe you need to take a break. If you're dealing with hip issues, low back issues, you want to make sure that we're being mindful. If pace is not a concern, you don't want to be going 100 miles an hour. Okay? Slow, controlled movements. If you're dealing with arm, elbow, wrist issues, and you don't really like the arm swings, you don't have to. Maybe you want to just put your hands on the edge of your stool to give you a little bit of stability. You know, maybe you want to raise your arms, just do some swings. Maybe you want to do some side raises. The whole point of adding the arms is to get a little bit more movement, a little bit more functionality. So, you know, maybe you've got some frozen shoulder issues going on. You know, maybe we're just doing something like this. Okay. The more that you incorporate into any one position, the more muscular gains you're going to get, the more range of motion we're going to address. There's all the more and for me, I like condensing my workouts. So the more I can do in one exercise, the less time my total workout time is. For those of you that do like longer durations, you've got the time, it's your mental escape. There's nothing wrong with having a longer session, but I want to make sure that you understand just going longer and longer and longer doesn't necessarily mean that we're going to lose 50 pounds or we're going to make the bones better. I would prefer you focus on function, and it's very, very easy to overdo it. So again, reminder to my new users, or my returning users as well, keep those times 30 seconds to a minute per pose. Keep your whole exercise program, symptom management program, wellness program, whatever you're calling it, keep it to 5 minutes. I would rather you do a couple, maybe 3 sessions in a day and let the symptoms, is the neuropathy setting in? Are you feeling like the blood sugar levels are dipping? Whatever you would normally do with activity, the benefits of being active when you're diabetic, a vibration plate is just an easier way to be active. It's kinder on the joints. It reduces exercise time. Really, really key when you're dealing with fatigue or weakness, if you will. We're going to move on now to some standing examples. Why would you want to stand instead of just sit? Well, seated is referred to as partial weight bearing. Even though today we're talking about diabetes, which is, like 1 in 9 people, 1 in 8 are the latest stats kind of in the US. So 1 in 8 of you are dealing potentially with diabetes. Standing is going to be better for weight bearing. So weight bearing is going to improve that bone density more passively. So the first exercise we're going to focus on, very similar to the seated exercise, I want to be very mindful of our posture. That tailbone is slightly back. We're not slouching like this. Think about the tailbone. Back is good posture. If it's coming forward and you're tilting it forward, you've got a slouch in your back. And I've already talked 10 minutes. Look at me. So I'm keeping my feet, again, comfortably, naturally, functionally, about hip width apart. Knees are slightly bent. And all I want you to practice is, put your hands on your hips. If the stability is not great and you need something to hang on to, place a chair in front of you and just hang on to the chair back. That's the reason I love my one trusty dusty stool so much. Okay, which is in the camera angle I see now. So what we're going to do with this one, we're just going to do a slight weight shift. So we're going to shift our weight to the left, almost like we're mimicking walking, but we're not picking our feet up off the ground. Okay, maybe you got some good tunes going. Do. However fast you want to do. I just want to practice putting a little bit more weight on one side. This is a great warm up. If you're able to stand and don't really want to start seated, really just let your body drive how you use your plate, whether it's for symptom management or fitness. If you are dealing with chronic issues, a seated warm up, especially if you're dealing with the neuropathy, the sensitivity issues, you have a tendency to fall, balance issues. Seated is a great way just to improve that sensation. And then maybe you do a combo of standing and seated. So now that we've done a little bit of these, of course, variations would be adding some arm movement. Maybe we got some good tunes going, something like that. Okay. Maybe you are working with some hand weights. Maybe you got some of the new click weights or the kettlebells, the power stones that Lifepro has. So if you're working on bone density, besides about diabetes or weight loss or any of those things, adding mass to your frame is a great way to make those muscles and those bones work a little bit harder. And if they have to work a little bit harder, they're going to respond by returning more. If you do the bare minimum, your muscles and bones are going to return the bare minimum. Hope that makes sense. So that's a little bit of a weight shift. I have fun with that one when I got the right tunes going. I want to improve our range in this area because we are going to get into a mini squat as our last exercise. But before we get to the mini squat, let's improve the range through some pelvic tilts. Pelvic tilts are where tailbone is back and all we're moving is the hips. We're not doing this. Okay. That's the whole body tilting. We just want those hips. And you may not look or feel like you're moving very much, but you're going to clench those butt cheeks. We're going to put the tailbone forward this time. So tailbone forward, clench those butt cheeks, hold 2, 3. We're going to relax. We're going to take that tailbone, push it back. We've got a nice little arch. Okay. Forward. Maybe we're doing a little bit of tequila. Da, 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 da. Get it? I can't do it as fast as the song, but maybe you're swinging your arms with your motion. Maybe we're adding those goalposts back in, forward, backward, forward, backward. Just improving that range of motion in this area for our third exercise. And pelvic tilts, if you do spend a lot of time sitting or you struggle getting down and back up off the floor, pelvic tilts are a really good exercise, not only to kind of loosen up the junction of not only the muscles and the lymph and all the nerves flowing through this area, but if you do a lot of sitting, it's not uncommon to have those back and those hip issues. And this is just a really nice way to deal with tension while you're improving the flexibility range of motion piece. So the last exercise we're going to do is a mini squat. You can do a meter squat if you want to do a meter squat, but if you're not doing squats now, a very basic squat is probably the number one fitness position that is going to benefit every type of condition out there. Particularly for diabetes, many of you are trying to accelerate weight loss. You're trying to improve leg strength. And it's kind of one of those exercises, you're looking at it for one or two reasons, but it's beneficial for a multiple spectrum of reasons. So we're going to, with our mini squat, all we're doing is we're getting ready to sit down in a chair without actually sitting in the chair. we're going to talk about, a light squat. So the point where you go from, you're feeling it kind of here in the low back, the love handles. And as we bend, keep those heels planted. Majority of the weight's driving up through the heel. You're going to feel all of a sudden, there's really no vibration at all up past the waist. It's been suppressed. And the load that the plate creates through these micro movements are now being forced to be absorbed by your quads. Now your quads are going through stabilizing you and all this extra blood and circulation, and it's harder. So you're going to fatigue faster than if you had done something like this on the floor. If you are dealing with bad knees, bad hips, static movement where you're not going up and down is really not only a good way to learn, am I doing this exercise right? Do I feel like I'm wobbling all over the place? But I find in a lot of ways, you actually fatigue faster. Your body really wants to stand up. It doesn't like sitting here neutral. If you do want to move, keep it very slow, very purposeful. You don't have to go really, really fast. Fast might be a little bit more cardio, but it takes all the load, all that burn that you're feeling on the quads. If you are working on weight loss, the energy levels are low, a little squat, 15 to 20 seconds, anytime throughout the day is a great way to just get some life into those legs. It's a good one to do for restless leg and some of those things as well. But it's a great way to start boosting that metabolism artificially. Get it done early in the day. Do 2 to 3 reps of this type of an exercise. If fitness is the goals, you don't have to do a whole big elaborate routine. Start simple. And I think with a lot of my clients working with diabetes that are trying to address the weight loss, the strength, a lot of times it's the consistency that's hard. So by going with a few exercises that, are easy as far as remembering what to do and getting good in your positions, as opposed to a whole suite of, exercises that are kind of exotic to you if you don't exercise regularly, I think you'll find 1, 2, maybe 3 exercises long-term that you can, I'm getting all fuzzy again, that you can mix up and get a little variety going is going to be much more effective in the long run. I'm all fuzzy, Dave. What does Restream do? See how clear my hand is? Let's bring it back to my face. Hang on. I'm sorry I'm so fuzzy here on the other end, guys. I can see it as well. Let's see if me just stopping moving helps this a little bit. And let's get into some questions. Goes blurry full screen. See it now, Dave says. Well, isn't that just special? Am I dating myself there? For those of you that have seen Hee Haw. Well, I'm not going to let, the fuzzy thing is annoying, but, you can't tell if I'm 20 or 52. So what I don't want to do is keep you guys longer than I need to, because I know it has been, it is Friday night, and I'm sure many of you have big plans tonight. So what I'd like to ask while we're hoping Restream, maybe, I'm going to walk away and see if this fixes. I don't know why we're so fuzzy. But let me know if you have any questions. Oh, look at that. So if you are joining me and you want to ask me a question, make sure that you are in the main Lifepro page, not the VIP group or some of my private groups that I've shared this to. That's where the questions will come through to me on this end. Hello, Shanna. You're new to this. Thank you. This has helped you get started. I do have a really short 6-minute crash course how to get started video that is also on Lifepro's YouTube channel. Once I wrap the stream here, I will drop a couple of other links to past sessions of mine, anything from lymph to bone density to why is it itchy to how long do I do it. There's so many different questions, and many of you struggle with a vibration plate and what you can use it for and what it's good for, because we complicate what it is. A vibration plate is just a way to get active, and in severe cases where you're unable to move, maybe due to paralysis or severe neuropathy, it can move you for you. So it's a way to be active, but it can also be a really viable symptom management tool and bridge the gap until maybe you're ready to get into some of the fitness and exercise stuff. So technically, if you understand how to adapt use and apply the tool and understand, just like exercise, there's never just one thing that you do at the gym. We don't all do it the same. But once you understand how to modify your positions and you understand how to manipulate your times and the intensity, there's really no person on the face of the earth that can't use a vibration plate without proper guidance. So I'm here to answer some of those tough questions if you have any. So Dave, I'm not as blurry now. Deb is here and she says it was clear. Laura has a question. I appreciate how verbally descriptive you are. I am blind and still going off of your audio descriptions. You're doing amazing. Thank you, Laura. I actually work with a lot of special needs, and although most of you in the public world know me as Debbie that talks too much, I do deal with a lot of neurological conditions with some of my littles that I deal with, where they can be deaf verbally. Sometimes it's, I'm working through talking programs and things. So I really appreciate that's important feedback to me. And I will say, a lot of people go, you're blind and you're using a vibration plate. Laura, people that have vision issues do better on a vibration plate than anyone else, because you're not as heavily relying on the visual. The sight, when you don't have sight, we don't realize how, of all of our senses, how heavily we rely on the visual. And sometimes we're not as tuned in with the audio, the vibratory, some of the things that when you lack sight or you have poor vision, your body kind of tunes into the other senses and picks up different cues. So I really look forward to your feedback on this, Laura Ann, and I think you're going to find it a very, very viable tool, not only from an exercise or a feel good, but just from a mental health grounding perspective, if that makes sense. And I'm not sure why you are blind, but a vibration plate does, it boosts neurological function. So if you do happen to have flecks of light or different things that lead you to believe there may be activity there, please don't be alarmed. That's absolutely not uncommon. But again, I deal with a lot of sensitivities and a lot of special needs. So my tune in and my experience is a little bit different. If you have any questions at all, Laura, feel free to reach out. Shauna says she's new at this, and I this helped you get started. I'll drop those videos once I wrap up here. I think that you'll find them quite helpful, depending on what, everybody's got different goals, and then sometimes people have different conditions, but it's where you personally are physically starting at that drives what you do on the machine. There's not a diabetes program and a bone density program. A lot of times you have, reasons you want to use the machine for both. So it's about looking at you as an individual, taking all those labels away, looking at the symptoms you're dealing with. Start there, short term on the symptoms. If the symptoms improve, the fitness stuff becomes not only, an option, but a little bit more pleasant, especially if you're dealing with chronic pain. Dottie Wilson. Hello, Dottie. I have the original Lifepro vibration plate. Should I upgrade? No, all of my coaching sessions are in oscillating movement. That's the main movement. A lot of times when people say, well, should I upgrade? Know that in oscillating, the performance doesn't really change. You may get more features. You may get more movement types. But selecting a vibration plate is really more about which one are you going to use more consistently. Consistency really is the key. So if you, the Waver Mini that I use and some of the smaller ones, sometimes portability is important. You're using it in different places in your house. Maybe the mobility is not there and you're using it by your bed in the morning and you want to take it and put it by the kitchen island during the day. So if you get much bigger than the Waver, they become a little bit more cumbersome. The Rumblexes, most of the models have wheels on the side, so you can drag it. But if you're dealing with poor mobility and you're frail, I don't want you slugging 40 pounds even on wheels. So sometimes what happens, Dottie, is this is the reason sometimes people have 2 or 3 or even 4 different plates, is you're using it in different places or for different reasons. So maybe you're using one at the office, or maybe you'd like to use one at the office. So maybe the one that you have now would be a good one to take the office. If there's another model that you have been considering, as you get bigger than the Waver, each movement type. So let's look at the rhomblexes. If you're getting, oscillating and pulsation and lateral, those are more features. The best vibration plate movement for all benefits all the time is oscillating. It's also more preferred. It's more naturally how we walk. And there's just a little bit more to understand. And once you kind of understand, you've got a lot more parameters that you can manipulate and further customize for you. But each movement type is a motor and components. So sometimes you get companies out there that are like, well, our machine has 2 motors. Well, yeah, you have 2 movements. You have to. It's not a better because it's got more motors. It just means it's got a couple more features. But with more motors, more components, becomes more mass. So if you want like the top of the line, the relaxa vibe with all the motors, all the toys that come with it, guess what? It's not something I would throw in the back of your trunk without a couple of sets of hands on it. So sometimes choosing the best plate is really about, where you visualize yourself using it. What I will say also to close that point off, Dottie, is sometimes if you've been like using it a long time and you're a regular user and you're ready to evolve, it is nice sometimes to have, if I were to take the next step up without going to the rhomblexes, the turbo is a model and the Hovert that don't get enough press. So they've got 2 movement types. So they've got oscillating, and they've also got either the turbo has pulsation and the Hovert has lateral. So if you wanted a little bit more variety, a little bit more mix it up, but without the price or the weight or the size of the rhomblexes, the turbo or the Hovert are good choices. Now, I'm going to take a lot of grief for this because a lot of the people that I support in my fat disorders group absolutely love that lateral. I don't like it. I don't get it. I'm very much scientific and research based. So it didn't exist then. And it's something that has come out because people have said, oh, I want a machine that moves like this. So now there's this kind of movement, but some of you swear by it. If you've got the head sensitivities, it can be a little bit jarring if you've got balance issues. But if I were to make an in-between recommendation, I love the turbo. I do like the pulsation setting, especially if you've got really severe neuropathy. It's kind of a kinder, more gentle stimulus. And a good starting point if you're severe, you're maybe dealing with some recovery work. So if you wanted sort of something in the middle that isn't the Wavers and the Minis and isn't quite the rhomblexes, consider the turbo and the Hovert. They have been around since day one. And I'm also saying that for my Hovert and my turbo users, because I always hear, you never do a workout on the turbo. You never do a workout on the Hovert. I don't have either model. So part of the reason I do every motion or most of my sessions in oscillating is, as it is the primary movement, that's the one movement that pretty much every model has, unless you get into some of the new specialized compact plates. But that way everybody can join in and understand the benefits. So I hope that helps. Deb gave me a thumbs up back. Great name, by the way. And for those of you that are anxiously awaiting the Black Friday stuff, you notice I didn't do a big sales pitch, but I will say there are some prime deals that have already started, the pre-sale. And I'm going to caution you, times have changed. It's not like it was 3-4 years ago where, containers were on the ocean, all the time. I'm finding this time of year, especially, there's been a lot of changes between shipping and just the cost of goods getting from point A to B. So if there's something there now that you're considering, and don't always just look where you normally look. Compare between Lifepro Maine. If you're in the States, look at their direct site and also look at Amazon. So in my groups and in the Lifepro group, you're going to notice here in the next couple of days, there's even in Canada, I'm going to be talking about, I'm in Calgary, Deb, just so you know. So what I tend to do with my, I'll have a session. I think it's the day before I've got it booked because I like to do a deal, the prime deals, because, in 2 weeks, it's going to be what's in stock, right? So if there is something that you've been considering and it's, there's some deals that are up to 37% off. There's a couple that are 40. Jump on it now. Waiting for that extra 5-10% might find you in a situation where there's no stock. So I'm going to use the spin gun as an example. Everybody, I did one session on that new spin head massage gun. It's been out of stock since that day. So I'm apologizing. Some items may not be in stock until just after Black Friday, but I'll let you know when they come in. I know the Vibra Pulse is another one I've been waiting for. So there's a few things. It's just the way of the world in manufacturing. So if there is something in stock right now and you want it under the tree for Christmas, or you just want it for you, I would consider jumping on it now. So I would just mention that. Disbury is not quite in Calgary. Well, pretty close. I'm 45 minutes north of Calgary. And you should get out here once in a while. It's nice, and it's winter here today. Anyways, I'm going to leave you guys be. If you do have any questions related to today's session and you're watching this on a recorded basis, just tag me at Debby with a Y. Sometimes if you just make a comment and there's lots of after activity, I don't always get a notification, but if you tag me, I will be sure to get notified on that. And if you have any particular questions, whether it's related to today, the sale, or whatever, never hesitate to reach out. I will be back here next Wednesday. It escapes my brain as to what I set up a session for next Wednesday, but I will see you next week. And I look forward to seeing you guys next Wednesday. And I think it'll be the Thursday before Black Friday. I'll be doing a live session. So, and for those of you that joined me last Saturday for my, I do once a month on Saturdays. For those of you that are new users, I do a crash course first Saturday every month with Lifepro, usually later on. So those of you that do have a life can join me. And I appreciate your time today. Don't work too hard, and don't let the Black Friday sales wear your patience too thin. Happy surfing, guys. And again, always a pleasure. Thanks for joining me today, and I look forward to seeing you guys next week.